It's really, really, really good. This butter just takes it to the next level. Hi everybody, my name is Tara Punzoni. I own Pura Vida Italian restaurant in West Hollywood and Redondo Beach. Today we'll be making a tagliatelle pasta with a butternut cream sauce using Miyoko's European-style cultured vegan butter. We're going to start roasting the butternut squash using the Miyoko's butter. What I'm going to do is cut some of the butter off and put it in a stainless steel bowl and melt it over our boiling water. So no particular measurement. I'm just going to get a good amount of it in the bowl, and we're gonna put the butter right on top of the boiling water and wait for it to melt down. Miyoko's butter is so incredible. It browns, it cooks down in the saucepan exactly the way you want it. It has an incredible earthy aroma. It brings out the flavors of all of the dishes. It's absolutely my favorite vegan product on the market right now. I'm honored to be here for Miyoko. As you can see, the butter is melting down just like a dairy-based butter would melt. I'm going to remove it from the heat, and I'm going to pour it directly on top of the butternut squash, just pouring it around nicely. And then we can measure out about a teaspoon of sea salt and about a teaspoon of black pepper and some garlic. I love garlic. I'm Italian. We've got our Miyoko's butter, salt and pepper, and lots of garlic. I'm just gonna stir this all in together. You gotta make sure you get lots of garlic in there. Never use the pre-peeled because you really don't know, but you gotta use garlic in everything. That's the Italian way. So this smells so good right now. I can smell the butter mixing with the garlic, and it smells really just like heaven. And then once we roast this, you'll get the sweetness and the nuttiness of the squash mixed with the butter and the garlic, and it's gonna be amazing all by itself before we even put it in the sauce. I'm just gonna spread this out here onto the sheet tray. Try to spread it out nice and evenly so that each piece gets its roast on. And then we're gonna put it in the oven. The oven is preheated to 350, and we'll come back when it's done. Now we're going to work on the crispy sage. We can cook the crispy sage in the oven right at the same temperature. What you want to do is take some nice fresh sage leaves and remove the fat stem part at the bottom. Oh, it smells so good. And you're going to have about, say, 1 cup of sage. And then I'm just going to toss it in some olive oil, the Sicilian extra virgin olive oil, just a little tiny bit. I like a really nice, bold olive oil, so I choose to use the Sicilian extra virgin organic olive oil, cold pressed. The flavor of it just comes out really nicely in the sauces. It's just very different from any other kind of oils. Make sure the oil coats all the leaves. I'm gonna spread it out on the tray here so it looks kind of wet, but once you get it in the oven with the olive oil, it's gonna crisp up. It smells amazing. Sage is a beautiful herb to use in the fall. It goes really well with all of the fall and winter squashes. It really brings out the earthiness of the vegetables and gives it a whole nother complexity. So we're gonna put it in the oven with the butternut squash just right at the last 5 minutes. And the squash is almost done. And while we're waiting, then we can start our sauce. We've fully cooked the squash in the oven and let it cool. It's really important that you let it cool first before you put it in the blender with the other ingredients. We can get our butter melting nice here. We're gonna use about 2 tablespoons of butter, but I'm just gonna get it melting over our pot right here. Okay, so I'm gonna start off by rinsing these soaked cashews really well. You always want to soak your cashews when you're using cashew in a sauce. It removes a certain protein from the nut itself that when you soak them and then rinse them thoroughly, they're easier to digest the raw nut. Okay, so now that we've rinsed our cashews, we can start making the sauce. Using the Vitamix or any high-speed blender, you can just add the cashews right in. And then I'm going to add the cooled roasted butternut squash into the blender. Then we have our lemon juice. And next we have our nutritional yeast. I like to use nutritional yeast as a vegan, the one vitamin that is complicated sometimes to get is B12. So some argue that they eat it because it's good for you. For me, it's a combination of tasting really good and also being good for you. Now we've got a tablespoon of our chopped garlic. And then we're gonna do 2 teaspoons of salt. And we'll add 2 teaspoons of black pepper. You can go lighter on the black pepper if you don't like so much, but I love my black pepper. Then we're gonna do half a cup of the filtered water. Filtered water is really important, especially when you live in a city like LA. You wanna have clean water in all of the food that you're cooking because our tap water is very chlorine-y, so you don't want it to affect the final product. So I like to use my pasta water pot as like a little bit of a bain-marie to melt down the butter. It helps to not burn it, but melt it down nicely, and it smells incredible. And you can see the creaminess. It's just a beautiful product. So I'm just swirling it around to help it melt faster and more evenly. And I think we're just about there. Nice, melty Miyoko's European-style cultured vegan butter. And then I'm gonna start the sauce without the butter. Start it on the blending. Next, what I'm gonna do while the blender is running on low is pour the butter in slowly. It just brings it all together into a nice creamy texture. So now you can see that the sauce has a nice, thick, but super creamy texture. Totally smooth. You have no idea that nuts were ever involved in this process. You can really smell the Miyoko's butter. It's really important to taste your sauces as you go. It's really, really, really good. The butter is incredible. It completely changes the taste if you were to use olive oil. It's great, but this butter just takes it to the next level. So now we're gonna pour it into a bowl. See, it's nice and creamy. You can make a lot of pasta with this. You can just eat the sauce without the pasta. Now that we finished our butternut cream sauce, we're gonna start to cook the pasta. So again, I have here the tagliatelle pasta. This pasta was made in Gragnano, which is a small sub-city outside of Napoli in southern Italy, which is also where my grandfather is from and where pasta was invented. This particular pasta also has a lot of texture to it, so the sauce kind of gets really nice and stuck on there. And that's what we'll be using today. That's also what we use in the restaurant. And we have some Tuscan kale, chiffonade, which basically means sliced really, really thin. And we have the cream sauce, some salt, pepper, and garlic, and of course, Miyoko's butter. So we're going to start with the butter. We're just gonna get some of the butter right in the pan. I have the pan on medium flame. You just wanna get the butter nice and melty, coat the whole bottom. You don't want too much, you don't want it to be oily, but you definitely want to get the nice flavor of the butter as it starts to brown in the pan. You can smell it, it smells amazing. Then I'm gonna put in just a little bit, just a little pinch of sea salt and a pinch of black pepper, just a pinch, no measurement. And I'm also gonna add to the pan just a little tiny bit of chopped garlic. And then just keep it nice and low. Let the garlic get in there with the butter. You never want to burn the garlic. That was the #1 thing my grandmother taught me when I was a kid. So you just want to get the butter to get nice and melty and brown. Pretty low heat. The butter is sizzling away. The garlic looks amazing. And now I'm going to add the kale. You know, half a cup of kale. Not a lot. Again, make sure that the flame is nice and low. You don't want to burn the butter. And then we're going to take some of the sauce. I like to use my spoon here. This is a 2-ounce spoon. It's just the perfect measurement for the sauce. Get it in there nice. While you're making the sauce in the pan, you want to put the pasta into the boiling water. Make sure that there's a little bit of salt in the water and let the pasta get in there nice. So the pasta should take about 8 to 10 minutes if you want it al dente, which you always want your pasta al dente. And now that the pasta is just about cooked, you want to take some of the water from the cooked pasta. This water has all of the starch from the cooking pasta, and it'll incorporate the sauce onto the pasta and make it stick on there really nice. And then the magic happens. Okay, so once you've already cooked the pasta, you don't want it to cook in the pan for too long. Just want to get it nice and cooked in there with the garlic and the sauce. It smells amazing. You can really smell the butternut squash, and the butter is such a prominent smell. It's incredible. And then, plating is everything. Food is art. Start off with a really beautiful bowl, and then you're basically going to give it a little twirl around. Pile it nice and high. And then this is where the crispy sage comes in. So basically you want to just take some of the sage that we made earlier, break it up into pieces. You can hear how nice and crispy it is. And when you break the sage, it releases the oils and the smell and the flavor of the sage. And then of course the pumpkin seeds, same seeds that come out of the squash, go right on top of the pasta. Okay, and there you have it. Your tagliatelle in butternut cream sauce, crispy sage, and toasted pepitas. Thank you guys so much for joining us today. I just made the tagliatelle in butternut cream sauce using Miyoko's amazing butter. I hope that you have a chance to make this recipe. It's really super simple, so you have to try it. Wow, it's really good food.